Hey YouTube! So I've spent a bit of time over the years with a lot of different languages and tools, so I thought I'd talk a little bit about what tools I like when I'm just writing software or making stuff in general, or with games, like what other types of stuff I use for audio and graphics and all of that. My primary work machine is running Linux Mint, so I kind of prefer to have cross-platform tools. So I have a Mac machine, a Windows machine, and a Linux machine. It's nice if I have a tool that can go between all of them, especially if I have to build for each platform. So that's one of the main things, is I'm on Linux, so I tend to use programs that will run on Linux. I also prefer just free software in general, like both free as in, free beer, or free as in freedom, because it's cheap, and if I become adept with software like GIMP, then I don't have to pay all this money to Adobe for like Photoshop or something like that. So I always prefer both using and teaching with free tools, because that also means other people can learn the tools for free, whether or not they're billionaires or whatever, or if they just have like a computer that isn't super fancy but can still run pretty decent open source software. And of course there are a ton of tools out there these days. Like, this is a great century for making video games, and it's really easy to get started, even with web development, games, software in general. I think games can be a little bit easier to get into than like just kind of general app development, but that's just because there are a lot of libraries out there for all different skill levels. Even something like going from RPG Maker if you're just starting out and kind of want to just make some RPGs and get started, or RenP if you're making some visual novels, or to something like Unity or SDL or whatever else. So, since I'm a programmer, I like to program, so even though I could use something else like Unity, I kind of like end up writing my own frameworks and stuff. So this is the stuff that I like to use when I'm making games. So my main tool is code blocks. I do a lot of C++ development, and so this is just generally what I use when I'm writing C++ code. If I'm doing something later, I might use Genie, and I'll show that off in a minute. But I just prefer code blocks. It has pretty much what I need. I can set breakpoints and debug. It has the compiler, it has nice syntax highlighting, and all the nice little tools you get from a standard IDE. It's pretty lightweight, it doesn't take very long to install, versus like Visual Studio takes forever to install when you're on a Windows machine. But otherwise, it has what I need. I know how I can link everything. Like, I've just always used code blocks for like, I don't know, the past 5 or 6 or 8 years or something. So it's kind of what I'm good with and what I like to use. So, yay! Okay, let me close that. If I'm doing small C++ projects, Genie is pretty good, and I also use Genie anytime I'm basically doing Python or HTML, JavaScript stuff. So if I just make like temp.cpp, this is nice because I can just create a simple program. And it has this nice little thing down here. I can just, let me see if I can remember the keyboard shortcuts. I can build it from within Genie, and it did not like something. Okay, that's weird. Cannot open temp. Oh, there's a directory called temp, so I don't know what it's complaining about. We'll just put it in the temp directory then, blah.cpp. So you can run this. Okay, okay. There, now it compiled. So I can just hit F5 and run my program here. So if I just were writing like a one source file program in C++ or something, I would use this. Or if I wanted to do something in Python, I don't know if it's going to complain about the names of the things. Save, and I don't know Python super great off the top of my head, law is equal to whatever, I don't know. And then I could also run it from here, and then it's expecting some input, and I could just type it and whatever else. So anytime I'm using like Python, or if I'm writing PHP or JavaScript or building a website or something, Genie is kind of my go-to tool. It's also pretty lightweight. I like code blocks better for C++ in general, but if I just need something really small, this is what I'll use. Then for Android development, okay, probably have to go to my programs folder and just run it from here. For Android development, mostly I'm using C++, or I've used a different tool in the past that I'll show you in a minute. But if I'm just writing like just a pure app, not a game, just something that has menus and information, I'll use Android Studio. I used to use Eclipse to put my Android projects together, but honestly, I actually like Android Studio quite a bit. So it takes a while to load. I don't like spending a lot of time with Java. So, I mean, it's just a tool to get something done. I did not enjoy writing larger games in Java in the past, so that's why I went back to C++, part of the reason. And it's loading a project that I was working on that was just a language dictionary reference thing. So we'll see this type, it'll load eventually. Okay, so using Android Studio just for like either you've built your project with something else and you're putting it together, or you're just making like a simple application, this works pretty well. It just takes some getting used to. Of course, you always need to like go read some tutorials. Not everything here is like completely intuitive. So sometimes when I'm working with a new tool, you can kind of just learn it by working with it. That's not so much the case with Android Studio. If you want to do something specific, you'll have to go look it up. But there is kind of a nice way to just build user interfaces, and you can also view it as markup, like this. So I kind of just prefer this. Usually what I'm making is not that difficult, and then when you go into your activity, you can write a function here, like public void do a thing, and you pass in a view, and then hit Alt-Enter and it'll import and whatever. And then over here, when you click the button, you can just scroll down here and say, on click, you're going to call do a thing. There you go. And then you can do a thing. So, it's not too bad. But, yeah, I don't know. This is a dictionary app I was working on where I have different views. I have a little dictionary and some reference material and stuff. But that's Android Studio. And then let's see what else. Gaderos is not, well, it's cross-platform, but they don't have a Linux build. It does work with Wine to some extent, and I use that to make some earlier Android games. But now I'm kind of working with C++ and SDL instead. Let's see if this will open. Yep. I think I moved the directory, but we can open up some samples. And I don't know if the player will run. It's kind of iffy in Linux. It looks like it's running. I don't know where it's running though. Nope. Nope. Well, it's running somewhere in the background, or off the side of the screen, or something like that. But I don't want to keep it running, so I'm just going to end that process. Basically, it's pretty nice. If you're working on Windows, the runner will work no problem. It'll just pop up a little program that you can kind of adjust your phone size and test things on there, or you can connect your phone over the Wi-Fi and directly upload it with the Gaderos runner tool for Android. And it's been pretty good. This is using the Lua language, but then Gaderos extends it so you can write classes and stuff. The IDE itself, it's not the best IDE. It has really basic features. You can kind of zoom in and zoom out with Control and plus. You can't do that with the scroll wheel. And as far as I know, there's not really any debugging tools. It's just kind of bare bones, and it uploads to your phone. So the framework itself is pretty good for just getting started with. I've used it for some intro to programming classes, and I like Lua. Lua's pretty cool, but otherwise, I mean, if you're using Gaderos, I guess you can use this, or you can just write your code in Genie and then build it in Gaderos Studio. And then let's see, for art, I use GIMP. For everything, whether I'm doing game art or if I'm doing like channel art, so like, oh, okay, like I move stuff everywhere. Here's the Moosader logo. I drew this in GIMP. I added the curvy text in GIMP and whatever else. I've just been using this for a long time as well, and I really like it. So, yep, use GIMP, and it's cross-platform. And then finally, like for any sort of audio stuff, if I'm recording my own sound effects or whatever, I'll use this. I can't record right now because I'm currently recording, but you can also do noise removal and normalize the sound. If I'm making a tutorial where I'm recording the lines line by line in a script or something, like reading off a script, I'll use this. And it just lets you convert between like MP3 and OGG and whatever else. So that's pretty useful. This is good because whenever I use Record My Desktop, my video editor, I don't know how to pronounce it, KDN Live or whatever, will not open the file formats that Record My Desktop creates, these OGV files, so I have to use the transcoder to convert them into a better format, because otherwise KDN Live will kind of garble it. And then if you want to write some sheet music, this is a pretty cool app, MuseScore. Let's see if it'll let me just kind of throw some stuff in here. Finish, and then you can basically just add notes and play it. Let me scroll back here. Yeah, I mean, that's not very good, but and you can adjust it and add lyrics, and I've used this a little bit, but it's pretty cool if you happen to want to, like, maybe not so much for making a game, just want to write a song and share the sound, the music-y thing, the sheet music. So that's cool. There's a lot of cool software on Linux that's free. So I'm just going to go ahead and close that. And I have one more thing to show you that I use when I'm making games, sometimes. Finally, I have this piano. I'm not a very good composer. I can play pretty well, but I cannot compose music so great. But if I need to, I can use this. I can record on the keyboard itself and then either extract it to like a MIDI file, or basically I can hook up a microphone with one of these to the audio jack, the mono one, and then just record onto the computer with Audacity, like at my messy desk, and then use that. But again, I'm not very good at writing music, I'm just better at playing music, so it's hard to play with one hand, so yay! And this is my cat. She keeps me company while I work on things. Usually she'll sleep here or in the hallway, or if I pet her too much, she will bite me, because that's what she does. She's a cat. That's the primary feature of cat. I can show you some of the scars from handling cat. So, like that's a cat scar, because she got really mad when I was trying to take selfies with her one time. Didn't you? You are not a fan of cameras. Yeah, so, let me move this over here so I can see. That's not focusing. Okay, so that is my set of tools that I currently use. I'd like to make another video sometime, probably about, I've worked with libgdx and Pygame and XNA and Love2D and all of that, and just kind of, I'd like to make a summary of those different tools, or maybe just really small projects using different libraries and kind of comparing them. They're all pretty good. I mean, you can't really go wrong with any of them, But, you know, I just prefer using C++ because it's kind of, it's not my first language, but it's the first language I spent a ton of time with. And I also used it in college, and I've used it professionally, and it's just my go-to language. I love it. I love C++. So, anyway, that's